All right, what is going on today, chat? What is up? What is up? I think this should finally be the day we were all waiting for. Episode 28. But it is a special day because we're finally able to do multi-stream. So not only am I live over on YouTube, I should be live currently on TikTok. So welcome in, everyone. Hopefully you guys are having a good Wednesday, grade review day. It's always a nice, fun, relaxing day. So again, if you guys are new here, my name is Galaxia Gaming. And in today's stream, we're going to be reviewing your, meaning the community's, cards through our Discord. And the goal of the stream is to not only give my assessment, but chat will always also give their assessment on what we think these cards would get as a PSA grade. So we're going to go over all the big things to look out for: corners, centering, edges, surface, talk about what we should be looking for, what to not do, or anything else that might come up in the stream for questions. I do this as a small business, so I just kind of offer this as a free service to you as the community. Again, completely free. And without further ado, we have a pretty extensive lineup for this evening, so we're just going to get right into it. So first up, we have the Houndoom, Japanese from Neo Revelation. So like I said before, we tend to look at the four main grading criteria, which is centering, corners, edges, and surface. So off the bat, the first thing that I see, so we're going to see two tools today. The first one being our magnifying tool, which will allow us to look at the card online in a little bit more magnified state, as well as a pen tool. So this pen tool allowing to make marks or highlight points of damage or anything like that to kind of help you guys see what I see in a more graphical way. So we're going to get right into it. So the centering, I would say the only thing that I could see is probably the bottom of this card is a little bit thicker than the top, in my opinion. So right here from the bottom compared to the top, it's a little bit thicker on the bottom, but not bad. The next thing I like to look for is the corners. So the corners so far look pretty good. No issues there. And the only thing that I see is, and I kind of say this a lot during my cleaning streams, is we have two little specks here that potentially look like little dirt spots or blemishes that we could probably remove if those are actually there. And what I mean by that is we're going to go right, let me see if I can highlight it, 1 second, right here. So we're gonna do 1 and 2. So 2 of those are spots where we could probably remove those with a microfiber cloth or a Q-tip, something like that. So the surface of that could probably be improved. We also possibly have some here and here on the front, but that is about it from what I can tell. So as we continue to look, the hollow of this card is absolutely beautiful. It's in really good shape. So we're just going to flip it on over. And the back is equally as impressive as the front was. I see, so the centering looks good. And then for centering for Japanese, we do tend to look at this red line or this red rectangle that's surrounding the card. So on the left compared to the right looks pretty good. So no issues there for centering. The corners also look very good, in very good condition. The surface looks also pretty good. No notable scratches or anything like that that I can tell. And so all in all, this is a pretty good conditioned Houndoom for sure. So the next part, again, for those of you who are new, it's going to be a little bit different this time around, for those of you who have been here for a while. So the way this is going to work is, since I am doing multi-streaming for both YouTube and TikTok, the way in which you can vote is typing in exclamation vote followed by the number that you think this card would get as a PSA grade. So for example, if you think that this card would get a PSA 9, you would do exclamation vote space 9 is the way to vote. So if you are wanting to weigh in on what you think this card would get, again, it's exclamation point vote space and then the number you think the card would get. Jake doing the anti. So as you guys are voting, I'm going to catch up with chat. So hopefully you guys are having a good Wednesday. Again, the most notable things that we've seen so far on the front, at least, need different angles of the card. Yeah, that's the issue, Astro, from time to time, is, you know, we can only really work with what we got. And so we only have the picture, although the front of this, if I kind of take a look with this magnifying tool, there's really nothing that really stands out, especially in the spot that I would notice most of these scratches, which would be in this lighter part. But I definitely agree with you. The more pictures, the better, for sure. You joined late. Well, it's not, honestly, this card's in pretty good shape. So that's the front of the Houndoom, and then that's the back. So, but yeah, so my guess, you know, to kind of keep things moving along, I would say with how good of a condition this card is, granted with the pictures that we do see, the only thing that I really see wrong with it, I put wrong in kind of quotations, is that the bottom is a little bit thicker than the top, but not by much. And the left and the right centering is really good. The only thing that I saw from this angle is 1, 2, 3, and possibly 4 looks like little fuzzies or white specks or something like that that can probably just be removed with a microfiber cloth. So I'm not too concerned about that. But from the rest of the picture, the hollowing looks really good, in really good shape. I don't notice a lot of issues there, which is great. Now, if we flip it over on the back, we do see the same thing. Just a little bit of little white specks that, again, can probably be just removed. So I'm not really too concerned with those circled. But the rest of the card is honestly in really good shape. So I would say with just with the mild off centering on the front and really nothing on the back that we can't get rid of, I would probably say that this Houndoom, if I get my tool, would probably receive a PSA 9. So my grade would be a PSA 9. Corners look off. Might be just the lighting, because when I was looking at it on the front and the back there, I wasn't really noticing too much. But so before I go to the next one, let me just catch up with chat here. How can you tell between marks in the art of the background? So based off of the picture, yeah, the picture, based off of what we can see, there's really not anything notable. Really, the only thing that I was kind of suggesting was that since this section is much lighter, scratches tend to appear a lot more easily in lighter scratches, in lighter spots of the card. So for example, like a Snorlax or something like a Chansey or Dragonite from Fossil, Jungle, all that, those tend to be much harder to get as a PSA 10 because of how easy it is to see scratches on those cards. So that's why I was tending to focus more on that section than anything. So let's keep on keeping on. So next up, we have probably one of my favorite artworks and a very popular promo, which is the Koro Mew. Oh, I'm sure, Jake. But again, yeah, when people submit cards, it's always good. It's always a good rule of thumb to provide as many angles as possible. So let us take a look. So next up, we have the Korokora Mew. So centering looks actually really good on this. So can't complain there. No corner issues that I can tell. No edge wear. Looks really good. Yeah, the surface looks phenomenal. But man, the only thing that's really holding this card back is that one white nick on that right edge. It's very unfortunate because from what we can tell, the front of this card is in super good shape. And again, if I take this magnifier tool and kind of highlight over, there might be a little bit of a bend in that bottom left-hand corner, but really not by much. But the surface looks really good. But man, yeah, this card looks in phenomenal shape on the front at least, but on the back, yeah, the back is really where it's kind of struggling, which is right here on that right side. But man, very unfortunate because something like that, you're probably looking at an 8, a 9 or an 8. Because that's pretty significant. If it was a little bit lighter or a little bit smaller, I would definitely say 9. But because of that, you're already kind of dipping into the potential 8 category, with how prominent that white nick is right here, which again is pretty unfortunate, seeing how good the front of this card looks. So I would say because of that, my guess would be that this would probably receive an 8 because of that one spot on the back, which is right here, unfortunately. But still a really good binder card. So upset I couldn't get another good deal on a Korokora when I visited Japan. I saw some for $500-600 in the condition. Wow, that's crazy. That's super cool though. They were able to go to Japan. Very cool. All right, so this one I think was a little bit interesting because I believe that this, let me see. So I believe that this one was commented that, yeah, so this one I think was gonna see whether or not this might get the OC grade. And based off the back, so normally what I like to look for, and we can try to see if we can see them, is alignment dots. But I gave away, or I obtained a off-center PSA 8 Jigglypuff that was equally as off-center as this Mew here. So my guess, just based off of that one example, my guess is that this would be a good contender to receive that OC subgrade. Because again, that front side is extremely off center from the right to the left. So my guess, again, based off what I remember seeing in the past, especially with one of the Jigglypuffs that I submitted, I would say you have no problem getting a potential OC subgrade for this Mewtwo for sure. June, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate that very much. And for anyone else that's followed or shared or liked the live over on TikTok, I greatly appreciate it. Next up, we have, keeping the Japanese train going, we have the Jolteon Delta species. So let's take a look at this bad boy. So centering on this one looks pretty good. Yeah, I also agree, Mark. This is a very nice looking card. Jolteon, one of my favorite evolutions, for sure. Centering looks good. The corners also appear to be in very good shape. So far so good. Now, from what we can see on the holo reflection, this looks to be very good as well. So that's always good to see. So nothing notable there. And when we flip it on the back, yeah, the front does look very solid for sure. The only thing that I see, we might have to take the magnifying tool here, is this bottom right corner. I don't know if that's just camera artifacting or what, but it almost looks like there's some slight dings. I don't know if you guys can see that on stream, but it's almost like right there and right there. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. So that's where I have it circled. Then I'll take the magnifying tool. But yeah, Jose, thanks so much for liking the live. I appreciate that very much. But yeah, I think that's really the only thing that I see if those are actual. Because so let me flip it over, because that right side, it should be on the left then. So it should be on this side. And I don't know if I'm just like trying to trick myself into thinking that there's something there, on the front at least. But you really see it more on the back than the front. Well, that's awesome, Mark. Congratulations. It's always very exciting to submit your first card, so fingers crossed. I hope you get the grade that you want. Yeah, you see that too, Mark? But yeah, I think, yeah, let me know what you guys think. So again, if you guys are have been here before, we switched up how chat can vote. So on whatever platform you're watching on, either YouTube or TikTok, if you do ! vote space and then the grade that you think this would get, that is the way that I can adjust or see what chat would think this card would get as a PSA grade. So again, if you want to vote on what you think this card would get, do ! vote space followed by the number you think this Jolteon would get if you're either on TikTok or YouTube. And so what will happen is all those votes will combine, and then that will be the chat grade. So again, if you guys want to vote, it's ! vote space followed by the number you think it would get as a PSA grade. And while you guys are voting, I'm going to catch up with chat. Whose card is this? Just looking at, so this is J King's, I believe. Need to see back. I got you. So really the only thing that we saw on the back was possibly 1 and 2 little spots. So again, for those of you who are new here, these are not my cards. These are community members' cards who have decided to submit for their cards to be grade reviewed. We do this every Wednesday, completely free. Oh yeah, we just started. So we're getting some 9s, we're getting some 8s. But yeah, is that, like I said, it's completely free. I always love hanging out with you guys, so hopefully you guys are enjoying this as much as I do. I always look forward to this. It's a nice little break in the week. I appreciate that, Victor. Thank you so much. All right, so we'll pause the voting there. So it looks like a majority by very, very slight is going to be, and this is how, because now that there's enough of you to do the voting, this is kind of where I can kind of bring this in. So chat is thinking a PSA 8. So I'll keep that off to the side. So what do I think? Let's see what I think this Jolteon Delta species would get. So centering is really good. The corners on the front look very good. And there's nothing of note on the front, whether on the Jolteon, the texture, or anything like that. So the front, from what I can tell from this picture, is in really good shape. However, when we flip it over, the corners look good, with the exception of kind of this bottom right-hand corner towards the edge. Let me just see if that saves. Yes, it does. So in here, we almost kind of see a little bit of impact. So, and I think just based off of the angle the light is being shined onto the card, I believe that there are possible little dings here on that right side. And so because of that, in addition to this, might be just a little bit of a fuzz on that bottom center. But I think because of these, which appear to be like at least 1, 2, maybe even 3, my guess is also going to be an 8. Because normally I like to, when there's at least 2, you're kind of getting into, you know, it's like a 9, a good 9, maybe an 8. But normally when there's at least 3 or more, like probably like 3 to 4, you're starting to get into that 8 category. So chat grade was an 8, and then my grade was also an 8. So before we move on to the Ampharos Delta, let me just catch up with you guys real quick. Let's see. Do you have the graded already? No, I don't have any of these graded. Because again, these aren't, if that's what you're asking, these aren't my cards. Do you submit them too? So Mark, eventually I will be. But for right now, it's just sending me pictures through our Discord. And if you guys are wondering, or if you are new here, and if you want to know how to submit your cards for a free grade review, all you have to do is go to my website, which is on screen now. It's galaxiagamingtcg.com. It will look like this if you're on mobile. And if you are on mobile, you see the lines in the top left, and the socials should pop up in the bottom, and you just click the Discord icon and it will redirect you to the Discord. So the Discord looks like this, and all you do is submit in the grade review channel. And in the grade review channel, you submit your cards, and this is exactly what I look at. So you see a bunch of cards. You can kind of see the layout of who's in queue or who's up next, and we have a ton of cards to go through today. These are just some of what is in store for tonight, but super easy process. If you guys have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask any of the moderators, but that is how you do it in a nutshell. TCG everything, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Yeah, and again, it's completely free. It is first come, first serve though, so just always keep that in mind. But I definitely appreciate all the love and support. You guys are awesome. All right, so last but certainly not least for J King, before we move on to the next submission, we have the Ampharos Delta species. So again, centering looking to be pretty good on this. Corners look good. Edges look good. This is a crazy lens flare on this card. How this this holographic is reflecting off of this card. It looks crazy looking. But not anything of note, which is good. So let's hopefully flip it on the back. And unfortunately, we are having some damage here on that bottom left-hand side. So we have, if I can kind of circle it again, it's very important to kind of highlight, because I get a lot. I think probably one of the biggest questions that I get when I do these grade reviews is how much whitening takes away from the overall grade of a card. So something like this, for example, right? So we have one here, and then we possibly have some whitening on that bottom left corner as well. Those 2 points of issue, and maybe here too. I'm gonna kind of put a little question mark there. Put it up here so you guys can see it. Is that all these, when they add it up, it's almost kind of like, you know, injury of 1,000 cuts. And there might be even some right here. So the more whitening you have on the corners, edges, or surface, the less those grades or those subgrades will go down, which again, because it's an average of the 4, so it will have an impact. So let me just save those. Taylor, thanks so much for the follow over on TikTok. I appreciate that. So, but yeah, the front of this card, yeah, the Jolteon and this Ampharos are really good binder cards. I'll say that for sure. But yeah, so let's see what you guys think. So whether you're watching me on YouTube or TikTok, if you want to vote on what you think this card would get as a PSA grade, just enter in ~vote space followed by the number you think that the grade would be. So here is the front of the Ampharos. Nothing of note that I could tell. Kind of looking around. But on the back, where you kind of see it highlighted in the green, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly 5 points of edge wear. That's really all I was able to notice. So I'll keep it on the back because that's where most of the damage was. But again, if you guys want to vote on what you think this card would get as a PSA grade, just type !vote space followed by the number you think it would be, and then it'll average them all together, and then that will be the chat grade. So while you guys are voting, I'm going to catch up with chat. Kai, thanks so much for following over on TikTok. Thank you so much. Yeah, we got a really cool spread tonight. There's a lot of really cool stuff. A lot of cool stuff. I have another PSA submission coming back soon. It just entered the assembly stage. Got a pretty cool spread there. I got some Pokemon in there. I think I have a few Yu-Gi-Oh cards. But really the big one is I was able to get a lot of Marvel stuff graded with Wolverine and Deadpool before the movie came out, so that'll be kind of cool to see what those come back as. How many people are in the queue? Mateo, if you are in Discord, I was just able to post the queue for tonight. I don't know how many people there are on the top of my head, but I know that there's 23 cards total that are being reviewed tonight. I just don't know. Well, actually, maybe I do know. Let's see. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people total, but 23 cards in total. Already sent my submission, but it got canceled. Canceled in Discord. Normally, if a let me kind of slow down so I can articulate this well. Normally, if a submission gets canceled, it probably means that it didn't meet the requirements to be on the grade review, meaning that it was in a top loader or a sleeve and you were notified of such, and then by the time I was going through the queue, it still wasn't fixed, so I removed it. Would be the only thing that I could think of. But all right, so let me, because yeah, I'll always, either myself or a moderator will always send one of those messages to you, and if we don't hear back once it's kind of your time, then we just have to just keep moving on. So chat is thinking, it's pretty unanimous. So chat is thinking a 7. So chat, I think there's only one person that voted 8. So chat is thinking 7 for the Ampharos, which is actually a pretty safe grade for sure. Okay, so what do I think this Ampharos would get? So really not much to talk about on the front. The centering is really good. There's nothing of from what I can tell from the angle, from like scratches or dings or bends or anything like that. So far so good. It's really just the back. Again, where my kind of like soft rule of thumb is if there's around like 1 to 2 points of whitening, like 1 is like 9, 2 depending on size and severity, you're kind of going into like the 9 or 8, and anything with like 3 to 5, you're starting to go into like the 8s to 7 range. And I think this is kind of in that range right now. So we have 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna assume that this bottom one is 4 points of whitening, in addition to what appears to be, again, I have to emphasize the appears. It does look like there is some whitening on this bottom left edge. So I think with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 main points of issue, I think you guys are correct in this case, to where I also think that this card would receive a PSA 7. So for the Ampharos, chat was thinking 7, and I was also thinking 7. So good job, chat. Christopher thinks that this card is probably a 10 because Christopher is a liar. Christopher doesn't know what he's talking about. And Christopher is a peasant boy who needs to return back to where he came from. And for those of you who don't know who Christopher is, he was the blue and yellow knight at a Renaissance festival that I went to, and he absolutely got dumpstered on. He was probably the weakest contender of the event, and he let me down. So, which is as to be expected for a blue knight. I thought there was going to be another true blue knight, but that guy chickened out, which was not surprising. But anyway, he was too busy, I know. Well, thank you, J King, for your submission, and other Ampharos. Followed up with Bond Q. So let me get yours queued up here. And again, if anyone is new, first, welcome. This is what we call grade review, where the cards that you're seeing me kind of preload on screen right now is people who have submitted their cards in our Discord, in our grade review channel, to be reviewed every Wednesday. And we just review them, both myself and chat, to kind of give you guys a sense of what we think they would get as PSA grade completely for free. And it's just a way for me to kind of say thanks to you guys and kind of chill and look at some cool cards. Well, Shake, the Blue Knight is trash. So it is what it is. It's not even drama, it's just a fact. Have you ever graded any of the cards, any of the card-ass anime stuff? No, I haven't. I've honestly have never, I don't think I've ever even seen any of them in person, to be quite honest with you. It's not like they're like exceptionally rare or anything. I just personally have never owned them or come into possession of them. But they look really cool. I love that art style for sure. Okay, so let me see if I can zoom this in a little bit, just so we can see the full card. There we go. It's probably as good as what we're gonna do. So, okay. So I think this is, what is it, Sandstorm? I might be wrong. I can't remember. I think it's Sandstorm. If someone in chat wants to correct me, please do, because I can't on the top of my head remember what this set is from. It might be Sandstorm, but I can't recall. Okay. So let's take a look. So this Ampharos EX, the centering, I think it's the first time we're taking out the ruler for the night. So let's see. At first glance, the top looks a little bit thicker than the bottom. Let's see, just shy of a 1/4 inch on the top, and then on the bottom, no, they're pretty much the same from what I can tell. So let's see. So edges look good, corners look good. I mean, the surface looks good from what we can tell. It is pretty overly saturated with the flash, but in Japanese it's ruler of the heavens. Got it. Yeah, I have no idea what it is in English. But man, this card is in pretty decent shape. I'm not even gonna lie to you, because the corners look really good. Centering looks pretty good on the front. The only thing I can probably see is, and that's from the old one, but it's kind of funny, it's really kind of in the same spot, is a little bit of whitening there on that bottom edge. But aside from that, man, I really don't see anything else. It's a clean one for sure. Is this your stuff, Victor? EX Dragon, got it. Is this yours, Victor, or no? Because everyone's name is different on Discord and Twitch and TikTok and YouTube and all that stuff. But yeah, I think the front and the back of this card, man, look really good. The front especially looks really good. Oh, gotcha. Okay. But yeah, I think just like the fact that there's only like I'm kind of like on YouTube and kind of see me like ducking down to like look around my mic, but man, I really don't see anything other than the one circle. I'd honestly, I probably give this, let's see, my little tool here. I would probably give this a, drum roll please, if I can get my tool. I'd probably give this a 9, honestly. That's in really good shape. Excellent shape. All right, next up we have the Rockets Hitmonchan. So let's take a look at this bad boy. I think this is the first. So the centering looks good. I mean, centering corners look really good. So this is kind of the first print line of the night from what we can see. So right above where I just kind of highlighted is a print line. So like in between those, I actually probably should just do this. So like right between where I just marked is a print line, and it kind of almost looks like it kind of goes across here. So it's almost like a print line going that way. But aside from that, so far so good. Let's flip it over. We do have a little bit of whitening on that top right corner. So we have 1, maybe 2, but again, all this stuff around is kind of makes it difficult to know if like these corners are in fact whitened or if it's just the table. It's a little bit difficult, but the centering looks really good. And that bottom left corner, I think that's just the lighting, but yeah, it's really all I see. It's just the print line across the front, and then the 2, possibly 1 spots of whitening on the back. Right, Victor? I've been look, I try to do my best, and honestly, like the little magnifier tool and just kind of looking at so many cards all the time, like I just kind of like know like generally where to look, more so than anything. Not yet, Chris. Well, first, welcome. Second, not yet. We haven't gotten there yet. But yeah, this one's tough. So I'll pause here and we'll do a chat vote. So again, if you guys are new or have been here before, the voting system has changed. So if you want to weigh in on what you think this card would get as a PSA grade, in the chat, type in !vote space followed by the number you think it would be. So if you think this would get an 8, you would type in !vote space 8. And all those votes will get combined into an average chat grade, and that will be the chat grade for this Rockets Hitmonchan. So if you're just tuning in, this is the front of the Rockets Hitmonchan. So these green lines, basically in the center of these green lines, is what seems to be a print line across. And then in the top right hand corner there are possibly, so there's one here definitely. The top one I can't tell if it's either the table or what, but that's another. And actually looking at it again, there's a little bit of whitening on that bottom part too, but really not that much. But again, yeah, if you guys want to vote, just type in !vote space followed by the number you think this card would get. But yeah, no problem, Chris. If you overslept, you timed it perfectly. And the nice thing is too, Chris, I finally was able to get the multi-streaming working. The funny thing is that Streamlabs support still can't figure out what, like, because I haven't even told them that I figured it out. Does warping affect the grade? It does to a degree, yes. But it's really just easy just to put it in between, 2 books. inside of a sleeve, of course, to kind of let it flatten out. Well, I should say heavy books, almost like you were to do with like a leaf, and then that way it won't affect it too much. So that's my recommendation. It also depends too on like how bad the warping is. Which if you have a card in mind, definitely submit it in our Discord for sure, so we can do a grade review. We can always help you out too, just to see how good or bad or fixable or non-fixable the warp is. But all right, so chat grade is thinking N8. So let me just get that written down. So chat. So chat is thinking 8. So I just saw what you said in the Jolteon I submitted. I checked the card with my magnifying glass. It has no dings. Okay, yeah, because I was thinking that it almost just looked like how like the lighting was kind of angled at the card. So I kind of like, a part of me thought it was the lighting, but a part of me couldn't really tell because of the lighting. But that's good to know. So I would say like if those weren't dings, like that was the only thing that I could see wrong with it. So that might even be like a great 9 contender, possibly a 10, because the centering looked so good. But thank you for clarifying that, King. And welcome, by the way. I didn't see you sneak in here. Okay, so Rocket's Hitmonchan. What am I thinking? So I'm thinking centering looks good, corners look great. There's really nothing wrong with the surface aside from this print line that's kind of going across the front of it. And in addition, we have some possible whitening on the corner there on the top right, as well as some on the bottom. So my thinking, really, because like really the print line kind of going across the entirety of the card, I'm kind of like leaning away towards the 9, especially with 1, 2, possibly 3 points of whitening. I would also probably agree that this would get an 8 because of that. Kind of sticking to that rule of, you know, if there's more than 2, you should start thinking about it being an 8, and especially with that print line, it's a pretty good chance that it's probably going to get an 8. So yeah, so chat thinks that this Rocket's Hitmonchan would get an 8, and I think it would get the 8 as well. And I cleaned the Houndoom after I took the picture, so it has no fuzzies. Perfect. Yeah, that card out of the ones you sent was like immaculate. Was so good. Kind of bummed that the Immune might not get the 9 though. Yeah, I mean, just that one little piece of whitening, man, because it was pretty severe. Like severe meaning that I immediately saw it, kind of thing, and it didn't like, it wasn't hard to find, if that makes sense. So normally, if whitening is like that bad to where it's easier to see, you start to kind of get towards that like 8 area, in my opinion. But who knows? Maybe you might get lucky. The front looked immaculate, so who knows? Maybe the front might save you, or the grader is feeling good about the front. Who knows? But definitely goes without saying, like, definitely try to submit it for sure, because that card was really good condition. All right, Clefable base at 2. Let's take a look. Centering looks good. Corners look good. I mean, based off of the angle that we're seeing for the holo, not seeing any print lines like we saw with that Rocket's Hitmonchan. Flip it over. Man, this card is in pretty good shape. Yeah, I would, if it were me, King, I would definitely submit it. Honestly, like I would even try to like what I'm about to say, there's kind of like not a really good or easy way to say it. But I would, if it looks like it's kind of folded over, I would try to like just gently kind of fold it back, if you can safely, if there is like material still left where that whitening is, because you might be able to kind of flatten it out, so to speak. But obviously, if there's no more of that blue layer that's kind of hidden, then you obviously can't. But that's what I would do, if I were you. Okay, so that's definitely some whitening there, and that's definitely some whitening there. Let's see. But aside from that, the cards looking good. Yeah, so far these cards, guys, are like looking really good shape. The front of this is in really good shape, and those are like really tiny dots too. Put a Snickers in your submission box. That's what I heard too, especially if it's all melted by the time it gets to California. They definitely like that for sure. They definitely love melted Snickers in their PSA submissions. It's not even a rumor at this point, it's straight fact. So yeah, I would say since like from this angle, I don't see any print lines. The centering is really good, the corners look really good on the front and the back. Really the only thing I see is like the little one here and then the little one here. And the centering looks really good because I think these little like white specks, I think that's just the table, and more so the table and less than the card. I would probably give this, if I pop up my tool here, I love this little pad. This thing has been making like just doing these like quick grades like so nice. So I would say that this would probably get a 9 in my opinion. But yeah, this tool thing is like so nice. It's like, ooh. Or I can draw my little, how I draw a little cat. There we go. You can, yeah. I'm pretty sure you can just kind of arrive at their place. I'm pretty sure that they offer that. They offer like app facility drop-offs. I think there's like a premium to it though. So definitely, like, I don't think you can just like go over there and submit bulk for free or whatever, but I think they do allow that option because, you know, if you're dealing with a card that's, you know, $250,000 or whatever, they give that as an option. Do you know when you might do your showcase for subs? I would love to check out the graded cards you have. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely like to, if you guys are interested in that for sure. Because I've been trying to think, like, there's been some more incentives, like in like behind the scenes that I've been trying to create for subs. But definitely, like, regardless, I know if I hit 10K followers on TikTok, I'm gonna do kind of like a mass reveal. But there's some other stuff that I probably won't show, but I'll only show to subs, which is definitely in the works for sure. But I've been really liking my new schedule because it's been allowing me to kind of catch up on a lot of the stuff that I keep saying, like it's coming, right? So I'm super stoked to finally like get a schedule that is a good balance between, you know, being able to catch up with my stuff and giving you guys some more newer stuff. But yeah, definitely want to do that soon, J King, for sure. Okay, another base set, Scyther. Again, another really clean card. Centering looks good, corners look good, looks well centered to me. The back not as good as the Clefable, in my opinion, because we have, let's see, so we have possibly a surface issue here. We have one there. We have something there. We have something here. This, let's see. If I can kind of make sure my hand is steady there. So we have a little bit of whitening there. We have these little white specks on that edge. We have 1, 2. This one's more of like surface issues than anything. I'm looking for vintage English and I keep watching the videos from shows. I don't have any English sellers. Only got Japanese hookups. Well, that's one of the things I'm going to be doing soon, J King, is like on my website I'm going to be hopefully providing, I just have to upload the pictures, is anything that I would be bringing to a show will be there. And then in addition, like IRL binders I would be bringing, those are going to be some of the incentives I'm going to be providing for subs. Not only discount codes for that, but also having available items that normally wouldn't be offered to the general public via online. So definitely, those are definitely some of the behind the scenes stuff I'm still trying to work on. It's just a lot of pictures, a lot of pictures I gotta take and upload and all that. So yeah, so the front's in really good shape. It's just the back that I have issues with. But I think the spots that I have with arrows possibly can be removed with just like a microfiber cloth or whatever. But for the whitening, we have at least 1, 2. This one's more of like a question mark. And then 3, another question mark, because I don't know if those can be removed. And then 4, which is right here. So man, that front's so, like, super good. I'm probably agreeing with you too, Victor, honestly. Because the front of this card, like, you don't see, like, and it's good because you can kind of see, it's kind of funny because the shadow of the phone that Ben took the picture of kind of like helps you see if there's any notable scratches, like either on the outside section of this or in the inside section. And there's really not a lot, or not a lot, there is none, period. At least what I can tell. So yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I think this would probably get the 8 just because of the issues on the back. Yeah, the hollow stuff has been looking like really good. Has been looking really good. But all right, next up is got the Koga's Ditto from Gym Challenge. Probably one of the easier cards to get graded because the Ditto just takes up the entirety of the hollow pattern. Kind of similar to Dark Wheezing. But centering looks good. I think the only thing, I'll have to get rid of the pen here. The only thing I really see is that there's possible like 2 scratches here, but they're so light, I wouldn't even really focus too much on them. I don't know if you guys can even see it on stream. I'm even kind of looking at my phone to see if you can even see it. And I can't even see it on my phone. So you guys probably can't see it either. But on the back, let's see. Again, like all great binder cards for sure, but we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see. Anything else? Maybe here. Yeah, I don't know if this is the table or not. I have no idea. But it looks good. That front looks really clean. With the exception of these kind of two little scratches here. But they're so small, it's almost like negligible, to be honest. But we do have a lot of whitening on the back, which I think would probably even bring it down to like an 8 or a 7. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too, Faye. Seeing some of that whitening on that right side. And like even like here, because again, I don't know if these are just like part of the card or part of like this table. It's really kind of hard to tell. But I'd probably say like if all of this is whitening, because we have what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 9, 10, 11, but very, very, very mild. And this, I think, is just either a hair or something, like in this section. I would probably say, let's see, I'd probably give this a 7. I would say 7 if all of these are true, but then I'd probably say an 8 if some of that is in fact the table on this side. If I can highlight that better. So like if this is just the table, then probably would be the 8. But if it's not, then probably the 7. Phoenix, how's it going? Welcome in, welcome in. All right, so next up, we have Gryo, frequent flyer of the channel. So let me get their submission ready. This is, I don't even, Zerasic with some crazy, it's always funny to like see the different backgrounds you guys take pictures of cards. You have a fun story from my last show I went to. Well, please share, Phoenix. It's awesome that you're able to go to a show. How does whitening happen? Whitening can happen in different ways, Maddie. Most of the time it's, you know, if you're trying to pick up a card off of a table or take it out of a sleeve, like your nail can kind of just like nick the edge, or if it's like hard for you to kind of grip it with your nail. That's mostly what happens. Or if you're like shuffling and you kind of bend it like during mid shuffle or stuff like that. It's just very mild wear and tear from what I can tell. So hopefully that kind of answers your question, but that's most common how it happens. Someone tried to sell a very damaged card at near mint value and got mad. I pointed out a bunch of damage. Well, there you go. You can tell, and anytime you need to blame someone, you can tell them that Galaxia Gaming said so. How long does it take for PSA to grade? It all depends on what submission tier you choose, Arash. Because sometimes you can pick, like, so the more inexpensive ones takes roughly 60 business days. But there are some that you can get 20-day turnaround time, like a week, but you're going to have to pay a premium for sure. But the $20 ones, like the cheaper ones, tend to be roughly 60 days. From the moment you ship to the moment they return, it's roughly 60 business days. But sometimes it's a little bit shorter than that too. I think they kind of are a little bit more conservative, especially after like COVID and all that. But yeah, on paper it's 60 days, but I've seen them come back sooner than that. Like I've had my submission that I've had with them for probably only like two and a half weeks already going through the assembly stage. So they'll probably get shipped out in about maybe 2 weeks, which is definitely shorter than 60 business days. So, all right. So Gryo. So the Zerasic. Let's take a peek. Very bright. And the background is crazy. Those bed sheets go hard. All right. So centering looks good. And based off what I can tell on the texture, at least, it's kind of difficult to see if there's any issues with the surface with texture cards like this. But as we flip it over, and I actually might have to, let me zoom in a little bit here. Hopefully you guys can still see it. We do have, let's see. I wouldn't have looked at it as close if I did if it wasn't a little kid he was selling it to. Gotcha. So the guy that had the damaged Moonbryon was trying to sell it to the kid as near mint. Am I understanding that correctly? Because if that's the case, then I hate when people do that. It's crazy. Trying to scam a kid. It's sickening, really, to be honest. Okay, so we definitely have some issues going on. I don't know. I think that's like whitening right there on that top left corner. We do have some bits and pieces missing from the back there. I have some scratches there, and those almost look like dents in that bottom left-hand corner, so I'm curious if it's over here. Yeah, you can't really see it on the front. But yeah, Maddie, definitely, like what Chris said, I have a pin video on my TikTok that you can give a watch. The thumbnail reads grade review and how to. If you give that a watch, it's like 45 seconds. It'll teach you everything you need to know on how to properly submit. But yeah, this card has a lot of scratches, a lot of dings, a lot of love for sure. But I would say we got 1, 2. I mean, I have a tool to do this, so I can actually show you guys what I'm talking about. So we have like something there. We have what appears to be some like surface issue stuff. And then here looks like a bend. And that just looks like a scratch. And then all right here is a scratch. And then probably something even here somewhere would be my guess. But the light is kind of making it a little bit tougher to actually see. But with the dent and the creases and some of that surface layer coming off, well, actually, yeah, there's enough of you guys here. So if you guys want to weigh in on what you think this Xerosis, am I saying, probably butchering that name, on what it would get as a PSA grade, just type in exclamation point vote and then followed by the number you think that this would get. So if you think this is going to get a 6, you do exclamation point vote space and then followed by 6. And then again, the average will be the chat grade. So if you want to vote in. But most of the damage is on the back from what we can tell. So while you guys are doing that, I'm going to catch up with chat. Let's see. How much? Yeah, it's totally free, Maddie. Unless you want want it expedited. It is first come first serve. But at the end of the day, it is free. I finally sold my carp from Paldean and got a Japanese Carmine alt. Nice. That's really cool, actually. Yeah, it's crazy how much the Japanese stuff is. Like, how much it retains its value. It's pretty impressive. Yeah, good binder card, Phoenix. You're reading my mind for sure. Still trying to sell mine at eBay. Yeah, eBay is something else, man. That's why I love vending so much. It's just like, I'd rather haggle in person than having people just like anonymously haggle with me, like what's your lowest price? It's like, my lowest price is what I want to sell it for, and it's just like a lot. And sometimes, like, if you don't respond fast enough, eBay will kind of ding you on like your analytics for like, because there's a lot of like different metrics that they use to like differentiate between you being a top seller and just a standard seller, and some of them is how often you respond to customers. But try to go to a show once a month. Yeah, and that's what's kind of cool too. Like, I'm gonna be hopefully in Q4 here, I'm going to be going to a lot more shows at the end of 2024 and especially 2025. My big goal is to go to a Collecticon next year. Either vending or just attending. I think it'd be really cool to experience at least once. And hopefully more than once. All right, so chat is, let's see. So chat is 6. So chat is a 6. All right, so I'm thinking, let's take a look. So let's save that first. So the front looks good. I mean, again, the texture stuff is really kind of hard to tell what it would actually get as a grade, because it's just so textured. The only thing that I can probably see is, and honestly, I'm just seeing it now, is this scratch here. So we have that one scratch on the front. But we have a lot of issues on the back, and really the big one that I think is a dent. And dents have a pretty significant impact on the overall grade, which is in that bottom right-hand corner. In addition to some surface issues, we have some corner issues. This almost looks like it's kind of ripped. I could be wrong. Let me kind of get rid of that real quick. Like right up here, that almost looks like either a rip or something. I can't really tell. But I think because of this ding or bend or whatever, I probably would say that it would probably get the 5 instead of the 6. Would be my guess, just because if that is a bend or a ding or whatever, that's a pretty significant decrease in grade because of that, based off of just my experience. But anyway, let's see. Try to go to show. Didn't even try to talk price. And yeah, that's awesome. I normally check as fast as possible, but I could sell the card for less. But eBay yeah, eBay fees are crazy. eBay fees are absolutely insane. I went to a birthday party instead of a Collecticon. Well, hopefully the birthday was fun. But all right, so next up, who do we have next? So Gryo. Next up is Zess. Ooh, they're really cool ones. I'm not saying these aren't cool, but these are always cool to look at. Which is a Shining Gyarados and a Hollow Gengar from, what was that, Expedition. Let me zoom out of this bad boy a little bit. There we go. All right, so we have to dial in here, chat. Hey, Carson, how's it going? I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing, my friend? Hopefully you're having a good Wednesday. Currently doing some grade review. And yeah, we're going to be looking at some really cool cards here in a second. Like this Shining Gyarados. It's all good, Victor. I think we can work with it. Okay. So, excuse me. So Shining Gyarados. This artwork is so cool. I always love this artwork. Centering looks great. Corners look good. Edges look good. There's no like silvering or anything like that. And as we kind of look across, I don't see any major scratches or any issues or anything like that, which is super cool. So again, kudos to you on that front part. Let me just get rid of these. So on the back, we obviously have some issues going on, but we'll do our best to highlight them for you. So we have some whitening here on the top. I'm just going to circle as many as I see. I'm just going to kind of circle first and then kind of go over them here in a second. And the circling is probably going to make it look worse than it is, especially from like a stream perspective. But I'm just trying to show you guys what I look for and what I see when I'm doing this stuff, so you guys can also improve and kind of get a different perspective on what we're looking for. So yeah, got one there because this is a pretty important card to review. And maybe here. I don't want to circle it because it's kind of tough to see. I didn't put a little question mark there. Do that. Here, maybe. Make it a little bit smaller. There we go. So save that. Just make sure I don't lose my spot. But yeah, the front of this card is in really good shape. But it's really, and like I said, it's kind of, I kind of make it look worse with all the highlighting. But this is what it looks like without all the markups, and this is what it looks like after. So this is pretty much what I'm kind of looking at. No one has top cards the last time I went to my local show. when I put some in my binder. Every vendor had them this time. Well, yeah, I mean, I just actually just got done selling a bunch of Topps cards that I've had just floating around in my inventory forever. Yeah, maybe it's like kind of coming back a little bit. Who knows? Yeah, the front is looking really good, but the back, man, it's just, that's really where kind of most of those problems are. So yeah, so I think for me, I don't think we're in the near mint territory. The front looks amazing, but yeah, I think like, so this is what it looks like without the markups, and then on the back, that's kind of like what I'm seeing here. And really it kind of boils down to whether or not I would say that this is near mint or a PSA 7 or not. In my professional opinion, I don't think it would be considered like a near mint or a PSA 7. I would, however, just, even though, like, again, when I'm kind of like shifting back and forth from like all these little like green markings, does it look like a lot? Yeah, it does. However, I don't think that it would be like moderate early play, because there's not a lot of, I don't see any creases or big areas of damage or anything like that. As long as, especially this top right corner, as long as that's just like a mild scratch and not like a bend, I think this would probably get the 6 in my opinion, because really like the big thing in my opinion that's saving you on this 666 I think is because of how good the front looks. I got it at a moderately played LP price. Yeah, so I would say that's pretty fair. If you got this at a light play mod play price, I think that's fair for sure. And I'm sure there's stuff like, again, there's probably some stuff that we're probably not seeing on the front, but I'd probably, based off of what I'm seeing in the first like front and back picture, I'm probably leaning more towards like a PSA 6. But again, the shining stuff, like I personally would kind of just grade, because it's like it's so highly sought after, like the shining cards just in general, that even like a light play copy of it will go for like a pretty penny sometimes. And I don't know, sometimes it's easier to sell cards at like a cheaper, or not like a cheaper, but like graded, than when they are in their raw equivalent. Because I did that with a Lily, when I knew it was like, I knew it was, I assumed it was a PSA 7, and when I would try to sell it as near mint, people would pass it by all the time. But the moment I threw it into a graded case, right, I submitted it, came back as a 7, it sold like almost immediately. So sometimes it's good if you like, if it's hard to sell like higher value stuff, sometimes just getting it graded just helps it kind of move a little bit faster, just because they don't have to weigh in that risk on whether or not it's going to get like a certain grade or whatever. But it's just kind of my experience. I just need a nice shining Magikarp to complete the set. Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. Okay, next up is a really nice looking Holo Gengar from Expedition. The centering, again, if you guys are wondering or have seen for e-reader stuff, obviously like this is meant to be like the top and kind of the left side, and you guys can't see it. Let me zoom out real quick, because you guys don't know what I'm talking about. Let's do, there we go. So here, so this part right here, right, and here, that's obviously going to be much thicker because of it being an e-reader. But normally where I like to look for centering, just based off of how I've done it, is you normally kind of look at this side. So if we're to look at it normally, it'd be the top right corner. So as long as this doesn't look like too crazy, then that's normally how I tend to measure the centering of the front of e-reader cards. But yeah, the front of this card is in really good shape, is in super good shape. Like I don't see anything on the holo, I don't see anything on the Gengar or the text, so hoping when we flip it over it's kind of good. And, you know, not as bad as the, I don't think not as bad as the Shining Gyarados for sure. Not saying that the Shining Gyarados is bad, but this, I feel like this is better. So we have some whitening there. Possibly, I don't know if this is like fuzz or not. But probably not. Have a little bit of whitening there. Some whitening there. Some whitening there. But again, not nearly as many this time around as what we saw on the Gyarados. So this one we have what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then possibly a scratch here. But again, if I save it, the green highlights make it look worse than it is. So if I kind of do like a before and after, right? So this is what it looks like without the markups. This is what it looks like with. I would still say, you know, that we're still like very softly in that near mint. As again, the front of both the Shining Gyarados and the Gengar, I think, is really what's kind of saving you here. If the front is in any worse condition, you're already kind of going into that light play category. With this card specifically, because I know we already said that the Gyarados was light play, but or PSA 6. But this Gengar, the front of this Gengar, I mean, I'm really trying to like look at the text. I'm trying to look at, you know, any other issues that I can see, and I really can't see any. I think like those little hairs or whatever those are can just be wiped off, so I'm not too concerned about that. But the holo looks good. There's no surface issues from what I can tell. And if we flip it over, you know, it's kind of going back to the tool here. There's only a small handful of potential whitening. So I'd probably say if all that is to be true, I would probably say that your Gengar here would probably get a 7, would be my guess. But taking the card out, bottom was indeed fuzz. Well, there you go. So yeah, I think that would just more solidify that it probably would be a 7, would be my guess. But yeah, really cool cards. Do you guys guys in chat, what do you guys think about e-reader stuff? Are you guys fans of the e-reader, like the Expedition, Aquapolis, Skyridge? Are you guys a fan of those at all? I know some of the artwork is just crazy. Like they had a lot of creative liberty with trying different techniques, because they were just like, like we don't know if we're gonna be around anymore because we think that Pokemon is dying in popularity or whatever. Which is why that range of cards are so expensive, because it's like they just didn't print them because they thought that Pokemon was donezo. Yeah. Yep. Not the biggest Gengar fan, but it's, yeah, that one in particular is really nice. But just like e-readers in general, like especially like the crystal cards, like the Crystal Lugia, the Crystal Kabutops, the Crystal Golem, Nidoking, like the Ho-Oh were really cool. A lot of those were in really, really like crazy design, taking a lot of risks in my opinion, which were just so cool to see. But again, it was during an era where I personally didn't think that Pokemon was cool anymore, because I was the big middle schooler. But I finally got a new phone, so my pictures in the future should be better now. Awesome. I mean, it seems like from what you sent for, you know, the Jolteon, Magikarp, and the Zapdos, these look good to me. All right, well, thank you again, Victor, for those submissions. Those are always some really cool cards to look at. So next up, we have the Jolteon. But this is from the World Series, I believe, World Championships, rather, back in 2008. So centering looks pretty good. The only thing that I see on the front, and I think I highlighted this before, is that we have a little bit of a nick on that front left. Aside from that, corners look really good. Let's save that and flip it over. Yeah, I think it's kind of the same thing that we saw with the Koro Koro Mew. Is that since we kind of see this here on the front, I still think it's near mint, don't get me wrong. But I'd probably, man, I don't know, because it's like it's on the front, but like, would that be considered mint? I don't think so. I'd probably say because it's on the front, and this possibly, I have the ruler. Let me measure it. So the bottom got a 1/4 inch, and on the top we have an 1/8. Can I have some cards, please? Just like give them to you for free. But yeah, I'd probably, so this looks a little bit off center. I'd probably say that a safe bet for this would probably be an 8 would be my guess. Well, that was an awful 8. Let me try that again. Would probably be the 8 for the Jolteon. It's honestly just the front is more issues than the back. But yeah, I mean, an 8 for that is, I think is pretty good. And then I think for this Magikarp, I'm thinking that if we get rid of the old one, I think that the bottom is definitely thicker than the top. So I think we got a little bit of off center from the bottom to the top. And as we flip it over, we also have some off centering on the back. So this left side is much thicker than the right. So I'm also probably thinking that, again, I think that this Magikarp would probably also get the 8. Would be my guess. Because of it being off center. And then the Zapdos, let's see. I'm gonna measure this real quick. So this top part compared to the bottom. So let's measure that real quick. So the top is just shy of a 1/4 inch, and the bottom is just over an 1/8 of an inch. So it's a little bit thicker on the top than it is on the bottom, based off what I can tell. As well as the left side too. This left side looks a little bit thicker than the right. So we got some centering issues on the front, and honestly the same thing on the back too. Like right here, this top part is definitely thicker than the bottom. So I think honestly, I think all of your cards, you know, because what I said an 8 for the Jolteon. I say all of them are probably 8s all around. Just the Magikarp and the Zapdos, I think, because more so for centering, and then the Jolteon was, from what I could tell, very slightly off-centered, but it's really just that ding on the left side. It's kind of where it's kind of dragging you down. Yeah, Phoenix, that's what I'm thinking too. But yeah, it seems like 8s all around. So we got that one. That one. And that one. All right, next up is a Coolio. So let's look at Coolios. Man, it's like 2 drastically different pictures for the same card. One's like on a blanket, and then the one's in like a sound booth cave. So let's take a look at this Azumarill. So the Azumarill, let's see. So the Azumarill, a little bit thicker on that left side than on the right. So it's a little off center. Really cool swirl here by the hand here. You guys can see that. Kind of highlighting it in chat. So that's always cool. And then on the back, kind of going into the cave, it does appear to be thicker on this right side than it does on the left. Have some surface issues here. Maybe a scratch in between those lines. And then it kind of gets a little bit blurry up here. Corners look good though. So I'd probably say, with how good the front looks, and it's really just the off-centering and the off-center on the back, which may be looking like scratches, but the corners and the edges look really good. I would probably give this bad boy an 8. I'm just giving out 8s. 8's looking good. All right, so next up we have Chill Raiko with the Japanese celebrations. Here comes Team Rocket. And right off the bat, I can probably say that this is probably our first potential PSA 10 contender, which is always cool because the centering of this card looks really good on the front. And on the back, I really don't notice anything out of order or out of place. The corners look good, edges look good. Yeah, I'd probably say this is probably the first actual PSA 10 contender of the night. For sure. And then, let's see. Who do we got next? The Bill Cosby himself. Got some really cool stuff. I think this is still from the alleged home renovation or something that he did, where he just found all these cards just sitting in an attic somewhere, I'm pretty sure. If memory serves me correctly. Got that one, perfect. Yes. Yeah, congrats on the first potential PSA 10 contender, Raiko. I'm assuming what we just looked at was your card, but with the Japanese Here Comes Team Rocket would be my guess. But man, this Espeon is looking really nice. Let's take a look. Corners look good, edges look good, centering looks great. Nothing wrong with the holo on the front. Man, this card is in pretty good condition, chat. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Let's zoom in a little bit. Yeah, this card is, because I think that this is probably something that could be wiped off. This as well. Let's see. This, I think the 3 markings I've had so far can probably just get removed with a microfiber. Get rid of those for a second. I think really the only thing that I can see that probably can't be removed is that right there, and maybe that. But man, that's really stretching it for sure. Man, this card is in great shape. Let me measure the centering. Really, that's the only thing I can kind of like really tell is the centering from the bottom. So the bottom is just over a 1/4 inch, and then the top is just shy of a 1/4 inch. So it's a little bottom heavy. So it's a little bit thicker on the bottom than it is on the top. But the front of this card, man, looks so good. And I think it might be the same thing too on the bottom, is it might be a little bit bottom heavy. Let me measure that actually, because this is a pretty big card. We're at 3/4 on that, and then yeah, so it's bottom heavy both on the front and the back. So I'd probably say that this would probably get the 8 because of it, but having a Neo Discovery card being an 8 is really impressive in my opinion. Like this Espeon is absolutely gorgeous. It's a really good looking card, and bang, The Electrode. The Reverse Legendary Collection. Pretty crazy looking card, I'll tell you that right now. The corners look really good. Surface looks really good. Yeah, this card is just looking really good. It's kind of difficult from what we can tell from the front because of how bright the holo is. But on the back, we are noticing, let's see. So really the only thing on the back, get rid of that, is all this potentially looks like some whitening. But that might just be from the picture too. I'm not too sure. I mean, the centering looks really good, and from what I can tell, there's no scratches on the holo, but it might be just because it's just so crazy or just so hard to take a picture of the holo. Because this might even be some scratches up here, like in this like top right section. Easy C, thanks so much for sharing the live. Appreciate that. But yeah, I think with the whitening, I think we're kind of back. I should say possible whitening. Possible whitening on the top. The centering looks really good on the back. I'd probably say conservatively, you're probably looking at a 7. If these scratches are present, my assumption is that there's probably a little bit more that we can't see. So I'd probably, because of that, I'd probably say that this is the 7. This would probably get the 7. So do that as a 7. But man, so far these cards are in amazing shape. Thanks much for liking the live as well, Easy C. Welcome in. So a little heavy on the left compared to the right. Corners look great. The holo, there's a little bit of a scratch here. But man, look at this swirl, guys. Look at that swirl. I gotta make sure that I highlight the swirls because Bill yelled at me last time. Centering looks good. We do have some scratches. My guess with like, you can kind of see all these like vertical scratches. My guess is that this was probably in a binder and was just kind of like pulled in and out, in and out, in and out. Which, you know, as to be expected. Have some service issues there. Possible whitening here. Maybe there, but this probably can be removed. That right there too. Unless that's on my monitor. Nope. Let's see. Yeah, I think this one would probably get the 7 because of the stuff on the back. Would be my guess. But still pretty good. Ooh, Rockets Mewtwo, the winner promo. Man, these reverse holos, man, they are just insane. But again, with reverse holos, they are very prone to scratches, and this one is no exception. Because the centering looks a little bit, again, bottom heavy here, so it looks like a little bit thicker on the bottom than it is on the top, but not by much. But we definitely have some surface issues for sure. So we have some scratches here. We have some scratches here, some right here. Boom, boom. I'm just gonna actually I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna actually draw over what I see for the scratches, just to kind of highlight. So we have some right here, here, here. Boom, 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 boom. So a lot of the scratches on that front of that, on that holo. D, thanks so much for sharing. Appreciate it, and welcome. So those are pretty much all the scratches that I can see on the front. So we're already kind of getting into that, you know, near mint as to be expected for a reverse holo. And in addition to the back, we have 1, 2, and that's about it for the back. But yeah, I'm thinking the front. I think because of how many scratches there are on the front and how the whitening is on the back, I'd probably give this, because again, reverse hollows are so hard to get in like really good grades because of the possibility of getting scratches. I'd probably give this a 7 would be my guess because of the front. And before we hit the Flareon, if you guys are wondering what I'm doing, I saw a few new names come in. This is grade review. This is the 28th episode that we've done, where we review community members' cards for free that submit in our Discord. So if you're interested in wanting to share your cards or just look at some really cool cards that people share in our Discord, if you go to the website, which is galaxiagamingtcg.com, if you're on mobile, you just tap the lines in the top left, it'll pop up the socials, and then in the social section just tap the Discord icon and it'll get you right to the Discord. Again, it's completely free to submit your cards. It is first come first serve, but not only myself, but when there's more people, we'll also include chat as well on kind of what we think the grade would get. So that's how you do it. All right, so the Flareon from Legendary Collection, that's pretty cool. So the centering does look a little bit off center on the left side. So on here, so the left compared to the right, it's a little bit thicker on this side, on the left side. And we have some very mild scratches. Again, I'll kind of highlight them on stream. So we have a lot kind of all right there. Have some here. Have one there, boom. But that's about it from what I can tell. Because again, the green kind of makes it look worse than it is, but you know, in reality, when I kind of turn it off and turn it back on, you know, it's really not that bad. So on the back, left side or right side rather, thicker than the left. Have some whitening there. Have some whitening in the bottom of the card, have some here on the top, but in really good shape. But I think again, I think this is the biggest trend that you have with most of these. I think the last 4, I think they're all still in really good shape, but I think most of them would probably get the PSA 7 grade. They're all in really good shape. There's just mild scratching on the front and mild whitening on the back. Kind of, so the combination of issues on both the front and the back, I think, is resulting in that PSA 7. But that's just my overall opinion. So yeah, so that was, I think that was the last submission. Yeah, Bill's was the last submission for the night. Again, for those of you who are new, what you're seeing or what you saw tonight was grade review. So every Wednesday we review community members' cards for free that submit in our Discord. So I give not only my grade, but chat gives their grade as well. And we just kind of give an assessment for free on what we think the PSA grade would get. If you guys are curious about that, over on TikTok, I have a pin video called Grade Review and How To. It's about a 45-second video. You watch that, it'll teach you how to join the Discord, what channel to submit, and most importantly, I can't stress it enough, is the instructions on how to submit your cards properly, because we can't look at cards if they're in top loaders or whatever. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, another great episode down in the books. I definitely appreciate all the love and support you guys have shown. Definitely follow the Discord if you haven't already, for some more news and updates as I start to finally catch up on videos and all that stuff. I have some really cool stuff in the works, hopefully sooner the next month or two. So definitely stick around for that. And until then,